like to talk about the transaction in Ukraine. So my name is Alex Voloshin, I'm a CTO at Proping. If you follow the news, you saw that we published this deed address for the blockchain transfer in Ukraine. But many of you would probably wonder, what does it mean? How do you really look at that data? And you can use websites, something like Etherscan, for example, and see the actual transactions that took place there. So the way to look at them is, in simplified form, is like a function calls. So you have a smart contract, and all of these transactions are some sort of function calls which modify the internal smart contract state. And if, let's say, we look at the transaction state in our UI, you will see the purchase agreement, payment, title deed, basically all the steps that you saw in the demo video. Those steps are represented here. As you see, sign-in, the first step for purchase agreement sign-in. That's all three parties need to sign that, and that's represented on the blockchain as a transaction. And then the next step, the payment, the title deed, you can see here as well, and you can see the payment in Ether. And during this real estate deal, the smart contract was used as an escrow, and the money was held at the smart contract in Ether. Right, so when all the documents signed, payment is confirmed, the notary in Ukraine would enter this information in the registry of ownership and pardonance of Ukraine, and then who already saw these transactions, and those of you who try to read the data probably saw a lot of binary code there, and it was pretty hard to understand what exactly it means. So for now, we just created a script to retrieve the data, and that's the result of this script you can see. Later on, what we plan to do is to create what we call Propy Blockchain Explorer, and this Explorer will allow you to easily and quickly go through the deeds, through properties, and see the data for yourself, see who owns what. And for example, here you can see the physical address is a hash, actually. So there is a good reason for that, because physical address is a sensitive information. So we don't really want to store this information in open, but you can easily verify this information with this hash. If you look at the bottom of the screen, that's actual address of this property. And if you run this command, which takes SHA-1 hash from this string, you actually see that the hashes below and on top, they are the same. Once we build this Propy Blockchain Explorer, you wouldn't actually need to go and see all the hashes and everything. It's going to be a user-friendly interface, which would let you search all the information necessary.
Okay, thank you. So, as you can see in our first video presentation, we mentioned that the money are being transferred via money transmitter in fiat and dollars. However, in Ukraine case, we were able to make the payment in Ether, because the developer, real estate developer, and the buyer both had Ether, and they were both very comfortable to make the payment in Ether. And this has allowed to use blockchain with all its functionality. The smart contract played the role of escrow, and neither Propy, neither escrow company, or in case of Ukraine, neither a notary hold the funds. And actually, the funds were in the smart contract. And when certain conditions were met, the funds were released to the old owner. And the conditions were, as per the current legislative framework, signature and the notary. So we had a notary as one of the participants of our product. who after signatures verified that the transaction now is ready to be executed. And then the smart contract distributed the funds.
One thing I would like to add is that during this transaction, we collect the registry fee as well, and registry fee is collected in Pro tokens, and that actually plays a big part of crypto economics of the Pro token. The Pro token is automatically withdrawn from the buyer's wallet through the smart contract. So right now you have to have these tokens on your wallet, but later on we want to simplify that for you. If you don't have the wallet, you don't have to go on exchanges and buy it. We'll be able to automate this process completely.
The parties had to have tokens in order to your tokens in order to do the transactions?
So Propi token is used as a registry fee, so it's not really used as a Ether gas or anything. It's a registry itself takes the fee, and 1/3 of that fee would go for the registry maintenance, and 2/3 contributed to the network growth.
And the buyer had Pro tokens already, so the Pro tokens were
So the buyer needs to have the token, the seller does not.
Yes,
And you
exactly.
said 1/3 that goes to the registry
Yeah.
to continue to perfect the
That's
title,
right.
and
But-
2/3 goes to whatever node might have exited.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I, follow-up question then.
No.
So that 2/3, how is that split? How does the network work? Who gets that 2/3? How many
Yeah,
nodes are
this-
there? What's the design of that in terms of who gets rewarded for doing the transaction?
Yeah, so I will tell about network growth. I told a little bit in the beginning, but I will tell again about the network growth pool. But also to address your the first question, actually part of the transaction was paid in Pro as well. So the buyer, because the buyer had many Pro tokens, he also paid to the lawyers and the notary in Ukraine with Pros, but we were not involved. So he used Pros as a method of payment. But not Pro, because Propi as a company, we cannot use Pro tokens for compensation or for whatever. So part of the transaction was actually made with Ether to pay the real estate itself and to pay for the services associated. Yeah, and about the network growth pool, so we have 35% of the network growth pool. Of the tokens currently for the network growth pool, and everything that is being collected, 2/3 of it is again going to the same network growth pool, and we're using it for two purposes. The first purpose is to attract users on the platform. So whenever a user sign ups, the user receives a small amount of tokens. When they list their property and we validate it, they get another portion of tokens. So for many activities in the mobile app, they receive tokens as rewards for activity. And we are aiming to attract only users that are willing to buy property. So our marketing will be very targeted to those people who are interested in real estate. And then the second purpose of the network growth pool is to aggregate title deeds all over the world. Like here in the US, there are thousands of databases in each county that keeps data about title deeds. We want to aggregate it in decentralized way so that the community can help us to aggregate it, and we incentivize them by giving them tokens per title